He was very charming and very attentive, very kind, very willing to listen, interested, just charming.
We already knew each other for years. We weren't like close friends, but we got closer when I moved back to my birth country where I had originally met him. And I was alone with a baby and he was there for me. I mean, emotionally, he was very nice and helpful, and we had really good talks at that time.
In the beginning, my ex was the perfect woman, the woman that I always dreamt about, you know, in every aspect. She would treat me like my dreams, you know, perfect.
Like, he wanted a lot of my attention. Now that would be a red flag, but then it felt very flattering. I was like, wow, he really likes me because he really wants to talk to me, he wants to spend a lot of time with me, he wants to Skype, even though I just saw him an hour ago. But then it felt very flattering. I wasn't used to being acknowledged in that way. A month or two later, we were living together.
It should just make me feel really fantastic. I don't know, it's like a drug or something. We know how it is when you fall in love the first time, but this was something extra special. What changed was, it's kind of hard to describe because it's so subtle. Just little things about me. How do I explain this? Don't put your shoes over there. Don't wear these pants. Don't lay on the bed like this. Don't, whatever, you know.
The abuse, it built up very gradually, so you don't recognize it as abuse because he made it seem like there was just this argument or this discussion that we had to get out of, this problem we needed to solve together, even though it was his created problem that I had nothing to do with.
It was ambiguous enough to believe that it wasn't really a thing. Maybe I was just being too sensitive, you know? But it started with, digs at how I looked. It was when we met friends. He would say, the way you talk, I don't like the way you talk. And it just gradually progressed to him, you know, kicking me, grabbing my throat, and then denying it, you know?
Narcissistic abuse is simply the sum total of all known ways to abuse other people. It could be physical, could be emotional, could be verbal, could be psychological, could be financial, could be legal. Narcissistic abuse is impersonal, precise, devastating, accurate. It's like a cruise missile. It homes in on the victim and eradicates the victim, annihilates the victim. That's why narcissistic abuse, subjectively speaking, feels much, much worse to any other traditional forms of abuse.
Let me start to say that we all have some narcissistic tendencies, only you have to have a lot of them to be called or diagnosed as a narcissist. The main thing is egocentristic, and that's where you can put all the other behaviors around. Narcissism is not something you can see from the outside. It doesn't discriminate. You can be a man or a woman, black or white, high or low education. The main thing is lack of love. They act out of fear. So the big ego is constantly part of their daily life. They always act from ego. So arrogance and self-importance is a very common thing. And if you always act from fear, it means you are gonna be on top of everybody else, what they do. You want to control and manipulate everything.
He was very charming and willing to hang out with me and spend time with me and spend a lot of attention on me. Like he was very attentive.
Well, she really made me feel like this is our place, this is our little nest, and you're my prince on the white horse, and I'm going to treat you like you've always wanted to be treated, and I'll pamper you and all that stuff. So it was the best thing that you can imagine.
In the beginning of the relationship, it will be all love, 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 love. You are put on a pedestal and you really feel like you have met your real soulmate, because they will tune into you in whatever you like, they will like. At least they will say so. So if you like the color red, in the beginning of the relationship, they love the color red. In the end, you will find out they hate red, but anyway. So in the beginning, they really act like a perfect match, but only as long as they think it's necessary to get you. So that stage will depend on how long it will take them to get her into their power and control. So you can say that it's going all well until you get married, or until you will be pregnant, or until you are at least within their control and they think you can't get out anymore. So whatever way, then it will stop.
Things start to change quite quickly after a couple of weeks. I guess 2-3 weeks, the first signs started coming. We wouldn't go out as much anymore. We'd just stay in the house.
I think it had to happen gradually, or else it would have been too noticeable and then I would have checked out earlier. But because it happened so slowly, I was taken for a loop, really.
It started with him criticizing everything I did, from me parenting my son, to my work, to the way I looked, my friends. Even the way I organized the dishes, I had to do it in exact the same way he did it, otherwise he'd explode.
She would put me down quite a lot, you know, like, you're not that great a musician because otherwise you would have made it already. You know, you try to make this Indian dish, but, you know, this is not the way an Indian dish should be. She would criticize most of my life, actually, you know, new pants, new haircut.
Everything from how you talk, to how you dress, to the choices that you make, to the people that you hang out with, the TV that you watch, the music that you listen to, the way you look at people on the street. He critiqued everything.
In the beginning, I used to go against it, or how do you say that? Just, you know, not start a fight, but just, you know, give me my own space and stuff. But the more time progresses, the more you think, well, you know, these are just some rules. There's something with her that makes her do this kind of thing. I don't care where I put the shoes. I'll put the shoes wherever I want to, wherever she wants me to put them. And I didn't really feel anything about that anymore. I just did it, you know, like a puppy or something. But when I would drive home, I was thinking, you know, she's crossing some lines or something.
I felt something was wrong, but I didn't exactly, like, abuse felt like such a strong word. Even when he became physical, it still didn't feel real, because he made it like his business to make me not believe my memories. He was very, very like, you shouldn't believe your own memories, you should believe what I tell you, you know? So even when something happened to me, I still didn't believe it happened to me.
In the end, it's all about energy. Narcissists are feeling empty inside, so they need other people's energy to fill them up. And they try to do that with getting emotions out of somebody else. And it can be emotion as love, it can be emotion as fear, it can be lots of different emotions. But in the end, they always try to manipulate you to get something out of you, some emotion.
When she abused me, it made me feel mostly like it was all my fault. That I did this to myself. That she was there in my life for a reason, and that reason was to change me because I'm an asshole, and without her I would stay the asshole unless I listened to her and behaved the way she told me to behave. Then I would become a better person. So it made me feel like, well, not worthless, but like I had to be grateful to her because she discovered those things in me that were not okay, and she was there to change them for me as long as I listened to her.
The first thing that changed was my feeling, I guess. He had helped me after I moved back to the Netherlands and let me stay at his house for like 2 or 3 weeks until I had my own place. And it was a hard time for me, you know, rebuilding my life from scratch, being a single mom, but he was taking credit for it. When we got into a relationship, he was constantly saying like he made me. It is even weird to repeat that, knowing how hard I worked to start up my new life here. He was saying that I wouldn't have accomplished anything without him and would rub that into my face whenever there was an argument. I was actually feeling quite proud of myself, of how well I dealt with that situation, because I came here into this country with nothing. But it was like he wanted to take that pride away from me. I had to be thankful, which of course I was, but even thankful to him for the things I accomplished myself.
The abuse was detrimental to my self-esteem. Like, if I had any when I entered the relationship, I had none when I left it. Like, honestly, he annihilated any piece of self-esteem I still had left.
He made me feel very small and insecure, and in the long term he made me lose my self-esteem and my self-worth, and everything that was important to me, it seemed to be gone after a while.
Yeah, she isolated me from everything and everybody. I used to have a lot of friends before I met her. I'm a very social person. And in the time that we were together, we didn't see anybody. It was practically, didn't lose all my friends. I just never talked to anybody anymore. Really, absolutely nobody, just to my parents every once in a while.
He would say things to me like, my friends weren't good enough, my friends didn't have the best interest, my friends, they weren't real friends. So he was constantly trying to say bad things about my life, and I was constantly defending my friends, like, no, my friends are not like that at all.
And especially as he stayed at my house for a very long time, I was made to feel guilty every time I wanted to see somebody. Like I betrayed him or something, and he never went out to see any friends for himself. So whenever somebody came over, he would put up a fight about it later. He even threatened to kill one of my best friends, one he never even met in his life. So in the end, I felt so uncomfortable that I didn't invite people over anymore. I only saw his friends and his family. But the thing is, when you're inside of it, it's not that black and white. I knew my friends were good people, but he made it seem like he saw something that I didn't about them, and he wouldn't let it go. He made it seem like he was helping me, trying to see the truth about other people in the world, because he loved me so much. It was one big show of manipulation.
They will try to break the bonds between anybody you're close connected with or anybody you love to gain more power and control over you. So they will destroy anything which gets in their way. So your connection with your family might be sabotaged. You will get into fights because of them with your friends. They will try to do everything to destroy your social network.
Another part of the isolation, I always used to live in the city. She had this big thing about us being this perfect little family, and so we should move into the country, buy a house, and just be this happy little family. So I went with that. I bought a house in the middle of the country. I bought the house. 1 week later, she says, I'm never going to live here. I'm going to stay in the city. You just stay here. And later I thought, at the moment you don't realize, what the hell just happened, man? I thought we were going to have this life together. But later I found out this is also an isolation technique or something. She just wanted me to have nothing to do with any other people. So I live in the middle of nowhere with no neighbors, nothing. Well, I have some neighbors, but you know what I mean? It's a big difference to the city. So, but mostly, in all those years, I had no contact with anybody. If people would call me friends or something, I would just not react.
It is about them waiting for you to be so invested and be so trusting and be so loving, and you are already head over heels with them, and then they show you who they are. They show you the monster when they know they have you. That's why mine wanted me to live with him. That's why mine wanted to claim me, so that I couldn't go anywhere the moment he showed me his true self.
He wanted total control over my life. He wanted control over the things I did, the people I saw, but also he wanted control over the way I was thinking. So when I would have my own opinion about something, or if I would disagree with him about something, he would keep me hostage and wouldn't let me go. And I'm talking hours and hours. He wouldn't let me go until I agreed with him. And the funny thing is, sometimes it felt like brainwashing. In the end, after many, many hours of him having him scream at me and making his own statements clear, I felt like, yeah, well, maybe he is right, even though I knew, like, this doesn't make sense. He made like the weirdest things sound good. And then when he would be gone and I would come back into my own energy, I felt like, why did I believe him?
In a state in which you can't function to your to the best of your abilities, be it physically, like, for instance, my mom kept me physically weak by, medicating me herself, and my ex kept me mentally weak by making me doubt all my decisions, making me doubt everything I stood for. So they need you weak in some department and dependent on them for even your most basic needs. Some narcissists do it by keeping you financially dependent even, making sure you can't go anywhere, making sure you have to live with them and in a new city where you don't know anyone, where you can't find a job, so they can control your behavior. So they need you in a weakened state to have influence.